In this video, we are going to have a look at how to set up our Intune tenant so that we can start managing Apple devices. So this includes the MacBook Pros, the iMacs, the iPhones, and the iPads, the whole Apple suite. So the step that we need as a prereq before we can start managing the devices and pushing policies and installing apps is to configure an MDM push certificate. So this is required to manage Apple devices. So if you go into the Intune portal, so intune.microsoft.com in our case, let's go into intune.microsoft.com. And if you go into devices from the left-hand side, you go into, say, macOS, for example, you can see any devices that you have currently in the tenant. So as expected, there is no device at the moment in the tenant. We need to configure the macOS enrollment before we can start having devices in your tenant. So click on macOS enrollment. And the first step that we have is Apple MDM push certificate. Everything else is grayed out. So this will only become enabled once we have the MDM push certificate properly configured. So if you click on that one single prereq has a couple of steps that needs to be completed. So step number one is quite easy. It is about granting Microsoft permission to send the user and the device information to Apple. So your tenant information being sent to Apple so that we can start managing the devices from Apple. So that's straightforward. You just have to click on I agree, as I have done. Second one is downloading a CSR, which is a certificate signing request. So you need to download the Intune CSR. Then we need to go back into the Apple portal and upload the CSR and download a certificate. And we need to bring back and upload the certificate here. So those are the steps that we have to complete. So Microsoft has laid it down pretty nicely. So step number one, I agree. So that's done. Step number two is downloading your CSR. So let's do that. Let me just click on that. So that's been downloaded. So the CSR is named Intune CSR by default, and it will be in your download folder. So that's been done. Step number three is to create an Apple MDM push certificate. Now, in order to create a push certificate, you need to have an Apple ID. So this is an Apple ID that is used by the organization. So it's best to create an Apple ID with an email address of your team, say, for example, a distribution list that you have, rather than your own organization email address. So in order to do that, we need to go into appleid.apple.com. So if you go into that particular website, this is how it looks like, appleid.apple.com. So you need to give your first name, last name. So these are, you could put in anything you want. So maybe give your organization name details, region, birthday. Again, you can't give a birthday for your organization. So just pick any date. This is important. So the new Apple ID is an email address. So as I said, just stick in an email address that is used by the organization, preferably a DL of your team. Given a password, you have to verify with a phone number as well. So given a phone number which is used by your company, maybe a phone number that is used by shift workers within your IT team or support team who picks up calls out of the house. So any number that is commonly used and commonly managed by the organization rather than your personal phone number. Now, this email address that you provide here and the phone number has to be verified as part of this particular process. So you will get an email from Apple once you have filled in all these details. And once you click the CAPTCHA, go through the CAPTCHA and click continue, the first option will be to verify the email address. So you will get something like this. So you'll get an email from Apple with a verification code, so an OTP. So in my case, I have an email. I entered that one. And the next one in the process will be verifying your phone number. So you will get either a call or an SMS, depending upon what you have selected in the process of creating an Apple ID. And you have to verify that. And once you have done that, you will be logged into the Apple portal. So you will see a screen similar to this one. So as you have seen, I have created an email address called appleid@cloudific.training. So what I have done is I have just given this as an alias for my own email address for the sake of simplicity, but you could use a DL, which is for your team. And once you have logged in, the first option that you have is about creating a certificate. So already we have downloaded the CSR from here. Now let's go through the process within the Apple portal. Let's click on Create a Certificate button to kick off the process. So here we have to provide a CSR file that we downloaded from the Intune portal. So let's navigate to that in our machine. So it's in my downloads folder. Let me click on intune.csr and click on upload. Let's just wait for the file to be uploaded. And it says you have successfully created a new push certificate with the following information. So it has a 1-year expiry. This particular certificate that we are downloading from the Apple portal expires exactly in 1 year. So May 27 next year for me. So you have to keep on renewing the certificate if you want to manage your devices going forward. So maybe stick an entry in your calendar, or have some kind of a reminder so that you kind of go into the portal and renew the certificate. Because most of the time, what we see in forums and in support calls is that they start saying that all the devices have fall out of the management. I can't manage the machines anymore. The first thing that you need to check is whether you have the certificate active, whether it is a valid certificate that you have in the Intune portal. If not, you have to log in and renew the certificate. Always renew the certificate well in advance so that you don't have to mess around with your devices. So it's best to have a reminder in the calendar. So let's download the certificate from Apple. So it has set MDM underscore Microsoft Corporation underscore certificate, blah, blah, blah. So it's a certificate that we have from the Apple portal. Now let's go back to the Intune portal. So it's a bit of back and forth. So now enter the Apple ID in step number 4. Enter the Apple ID used to create your Apple MDM push certificate. So in my case, it is Apple ID at cloudific.training. Now in the last step, step number 5, we need to upload the file here, which we have downloaded from Apple. So let's do that. Let's go into the downloads folder and let's pick the file from there. So it's a .pem file. Click on upload and wait for the certificate to be uploaded. Once the certificate has been uploaded, you will have a green checkbox against the config, and all the other options that you see in the middle pane will be lit up. So let's wait for that to happen. So it says over here, status as active, last updated today, and it gives you information regarding the email address that you have used, expiration number of days, subject IDs, and serial numbers and stuff. So let's close that and let's refresh the page just to make sure that things have been lit up. As you can see, all the other options, so the bulk enrollment methods and the enrollment options have all been lit up now that we have the prereq completed. So this is exactly what we need within our Intune portal before we can start thinking about managing macOS devices, including the desktop versions and the iPhone, iPads, all the tablets. Hope this video has been informative for you. If it is of any interest, please do consider checking out other videos that I have in the channel. I have quite a few videos around Intune and managing Windows devices, and now we will also start looking at the macOS versions and iPhones and iPads, how to manage those with Intune and all the other policies and pushing applications and the whole lot. So if it is of any interest, please do consider subscribing to this channel so that you will be notified as soon as a video will be uploaded. And I do upload videos on a regular basis around, as I said, Microsoft 365, Intune, Azure, Windows, PowerShell, and general IT stuff. Thank you.